Alright guys, welcome officially now to the WCS Korea Qualifier. Currently we're looking at our first game today. It's unfortunately the second game of the best of three. The first game started without us knowing that the games were going on already. And we have Protoss vs Zerg. We have to the bottom right of Whirlwind, down one game in the best of three series. The MVP player is Shine, and starting to the top right we have his opponent MadBull, who was able to win the first game between the two of them. So for Shine basically everything is already on the line. The Code A Qualifier or the WCS Korea Qualifier is still one of the toughest tournaments in the entire world. It's definitely the toughest qualifier that you can play, and if Shine loses this game, then his hopes of going into WCS in the third season are absolutely gone. MadBull, on the other hand, former player for NSHosa, was doing pretty well at the end of NSHosa, at the end of the GSTL season, but at the same time, right now with NSHosa disbanding, he of course wants to go to a new team. He wants to just prove himself once again and compete in the individual league as well as in the team league. For Shine, on the other hand, he's a player who has been in Code A a lot in the past, has been in the Challenger League as well. He wants to go back there. Well, let's see if he can actually do it. He's up against Expand with only one gateway, so gateway opening for MadBull. Of course, we would expect him to go into an expansion build with this and not playing at one base. That would be a little bit too much Wings of Liberty or early stage of Wings of Liberty. And what Shine currently does is kind of the safer build. If you are up as a Zerg player against a Protoss that goes into a gateway first, the best thing that you can actually do in the opening is go straight into a hatch on your own, because there's no way for the Protoss to punish the early hatch first. But Shine is playing with the spawning pool here, which is definitely the safer play, since for him it's always the question, is there a Forge expand, is there going to be a gateway build? And if you're up against Forge on a map like Whirlwind, there are several points where a Protoss player can just simply cannon you if you do not have the early pool and go into a couple of Lings and a Queen to deal with that. So for Shine, the safer play on a 4-player map. And MadBull gets actually the initial scout right off the bat. He goes to the bottom right and will spot what he's up against. So from this point on, he can just start to adjust his own play to what he sees in the Zerg player space. And Shine is even going straight into a gas right now. So if you're up against the gateway, you always want to have that gas at a time so that you can get your speed out. You can delay it a little bit, but that early speed on a bit like Whirlwind is definitely giving you a couple of options that you can work with. You can make sure that gateway aggression will be a little bit delayed if you use your Zerglings just to run past your opponent's units, try to poke a little bit at the front. But for now, we already have the first gas mining for both players. We have 3 in gas for MadBull, but only relying on one assimilator just yet, and the expansion is, of course, kind of inevitable. That is what you see as an opening these days, going from one gateway straight into the expansion. With the mothership core, you have a lot of safety as soon as you get that out. At this point, we have Sentry and Warp Gate. At the unit tab, you can see that there's not a single Zealot, so he skipped everything, goes straight into the first Sentry. And we have for him expansion, pylon already at the front for the wall later on. And Shine at the same time is just droning up for now. First Queen already at the natural, gets the second Queen in the main base now, and is still getting his drones up. The pool is already there. With the gas that he has, he can now go straight into his, either into tech or he can go into speed, and there's the speed upgrade already as expected earlier. And for Shine, there's a lot on the line right now. The map is definitely one of the maps where he has a lot of options, and actually MadBull just shows him what's going on here. He shows him immediately that there is a Stargate, so one gate into Stargate for the Protoss player, the former NSHosa player. And let's see what he's going to do with that. Whereas we have for Shine at this point, not really a whole lot. He doesn't go into a third base just yet. We're already 5:30 in the game. Usually against a Forge opening, for example, you would go into the third base roughly around the 4-minute mark. But for Shine, he wants to get the fast attack out there. He already put back into gas a little bit and is at this point on his way to go up into layer tech. But already with the third base now, as you can see, very much delayed compared to the normal opening that you will go for as a Zerg player if you see a Forge expand instead of the gateway expand. On the other hand, MadBull now with the Phoenixes can gain a little bit of map control, making sure that he kills all the overlords, that he will limit the vision of the Zerg player, which is really important here. Zealot at the front, of course, immediately on hold position. And with the Phoenixes alone, he can definitely now pressure quite a bit. So there's a couple of options how to play this and how much to commit to it. But with the first Phoenix already, the Overlord here just doesn't stand a chance anymore. You can see that MadBull is already at 36 Harvesters to also 36 for his opponent. But with the lava mechanics kicking in, that's definitely the time where Shine can capitalize on that and get a lot more harvesters out there than his opponent. But we still have probes building for MadBull, so it's quite significant for him. He's not gonna go all in with anything here. He's just gonna try to pressure a little bit. We don't have him with a +1 attack upgrade since he lacks the Forge, but with the Phoenixes alone and the Zealots he can start to pressure, and that's exactly what he does. Taking down a couple of Overlords on the map and just trying to do something against his opponent's expansion. Speed has kicked in for the Zerglings already, and the Zealots are kind of limited now to the pylon. They don't want to move out because he cannot move out and lose the pylon if he really wants to be aggressive with this. So he moves out with 3 of the Zealots, leaves a few of them behind. Shine is actually supply blocked right now because he lost too many Overlords, and those few Phoenixes, they still go to town. Could actually, with a little bit more support, also pick down one of the Queens. Zealots still fighting, need 3 hits against the Zergling though, and the Lings on the other hand still trying to maybe move in and take down the pylon, but with another round of warp-ins, this is going to look really grim for him. And once again, the Phoenix is moving in. The Queen is really endangered here, but with the help of the Spore Crawler, at least that gives Shine a little bit more safety. Lost another Overlord already, and he's going to lose another one here. He built like another 5, so now currently he's not at the risk of being supply blocked once again, but that's a lot of money that he invested here, a lot of minerals. So Shine is actually a little bit in a very... That's just pretty out there. He's in a pretty shitty position at this point. He's at 36 drones against 48 already. MadBull is just droning up or probing up like a madman at this point, and his harass did a lot here. The army supply, as you can see, is fairly even. Not a huge advantage for MadBull, but he's in a position where he has the economy to just back this entire attack up, going straight into the robotics facility and the forge. And the Zerg player is of course now forced to immediately just use all of his lava to go straight into the drone production, try to keep up with the harvester count, get his income up there, but the Protoss player, even though he's on 2 bases, has a pretty good position here. Queen goes down, Phoenix is still very, very active on the map, and with the sentries and also the Zealots being at the front at the wall, there's just no way for Shine to really break through here. The only advantage that he currently has is that he's on 3 bases against 2. But that's not really what you want at this point. You want to have a lot, like a much better economy. You don't want to be behind in the overall supply, and that's definitely a big issue that the Zerg player from Team MVP currently has. The Void Ray is of course a great measure that you can use against the Roaches. That's definitely one of the things that really works quite well for MadBull. And the entire opening just was pretty solid. Going straight into the Phoenixes allowed him to take the map control early, take down the vision of his opponent, and immediately go to town at the 3rd base, taking out Queens, taking out Overlord, supply blocking his opponent, and now he moves out with a pretty massive army. Thanks to the advantage in income that he already had, he's currently looking at a 42 army supply, 48 by now, getting a 3rd base behind all this. That is, thankfully for Shine, immediately being scouted and also attacked, and that delays MadBull a little bit longer, which works quite well for Shine. So he can try to actually get his Hydralisks out. He was going into the Hydra attack on layer, is getting his range upgrade, is also adding an infestation pit. So seeing that 3rd base, immediately sending units over, at least delays MadBull. And MadBull also doesn't want to overcommit right now, so he's not completely moving out. The Phoenixes are giving him a lot of vision. They are amazing for him at this point, because he knows everything that is going on in this game. He knows about the tech of his opponent, so he has a pretty decent, position here. As you can see, he knows about the Hydra Den, he knows about the lair tech. The Phoenixes are still active on the map. Can't really deal with the Hydralisks just yet, there are a few too many, but he has a very, very solid tech going up for him now. Going straight into the Twilight Council, we have him also now with the Forge, starting the first few upgrades. Well, he should. Clicked on it a couple of times, didn't start anything though. Wants to get the first Colossus out a bit faster against the Hydralisks. And the 4th base has also been spotted. So MadBull is everywhere at this point. He's doing a really, really solid job. And once again, army supply in favor of the Protoss player. Very solid economy for him too. Shielding that cannon here, so run-bys will have to deal with that as well. And keep in mind that we have for MadBull a position where he's on 3 bases with really good tech coming up. Especially with the Twilight Council that we now see for him, he can also go into Charge and Blink, that we have the upgrade immediately on the board. What kind of works a little bit better for Shine is that he currently goes straight into Hive. That at least gives him a couple of options. So with a Hive tech, with a faster Hive tech, he can go into Vipers, for example, and work well against his opponent's Colossi. Just yank them in, do damage, and he's going straight into also the speed upgrade for the Hydralisks. Still has to deal with the Phoenixes that are kind of everywhere. But the Hydra count is getting pretty high at this point for the Zerg player. 16 already, so Hydra, Zergling, only a couple of Roaches in the beginning to deal with the Gateway army. But the problem for him is the time. His Hive tech just now finished, and he just doesn't get out a lot of there.
So he has a bit of a bank that he can use to get units into the game, but he has to deal with this massive army, and that's a pretty sick composition that we have currently for MadBull, since there's not a lot to deal with the Colossus just yet. He needs Vipers right now, but it looks like Shine is really trying to just muscle his way through here. He doesn't have a Spire that can help him with Corruptor, so he's just relying on numbers, Roaches, Zerglings, and also Hydralisks to deal with the one Colossus. And as long as there's only one, that's something that he can accomplish. But as soon as we have more Colossi in the game, it's gonna become really a big issue.
If you look at the upgrades here, we have the +1 attack upgrade already done. The second attack upgrade is on its way, and that's one of the problems that MadBull really is starting to have. With only one attack upgrade, he doesn't have very beefy units. He needs to get his second forge out now that he's on 3 bases and get those upgrades going. The +2 attack upgrade for him also has been started, and he's going into 5 additional gateways, which is actually a little bit crazy. So he has a lot of production here that he can use, but is a little bit timid about attacking. He had a couple of decent timing here, but he was a bit afraid to actually use them and to commit to it. With the Mothership Core, you have a great tool to always recall back if you realize that you are in a bad spot. But MadBull is very reluctant to engage, and that gave Shine the opportunity to go up to 200 supply. So in terms of army supply, he's suddenly the one who is ahead, and he is adding now the Vipers. And MadBull had a bit of a shot here when there were no Vipers in the game, since the Colossi, shielded by force fields, could have done a lot. But right now, the army is getting a little bit out of hand. The Warp Prism is still going strong for the former NSOSA player, though, and he's moving in now. He wants to put a little bit of pressure on that 4th base. He's still on 3 on his own, but we have Shine now in a position where he can actually go into additional attack. We have the Spire here, and the Immortal drops alone. I mean, just look at that hatch here. They go down, and that's the trade that he's willing to take. He loses one, but at the same time, the army is moving in at the choke point. The force fields are good. The Yanks are decent, but not the best, at least taking on the Mothership Core. And suddenly the supply is starting to be a little bit more even. One of the Colossi immediately yanked to the front, and here come those Roaches and the Hydralisks. Another set of force fields, pretty decent, but another Yank moving in, and without the High Templars for the feedback. A big problem here for MadBull. He can't deal with all of those Vipers. Even Blinding Cloud would be a great choice. The double Time Warp not doing too much. The Mothership Core, of course, realizing that it would die, and MadBull immediately dropping these Time Warps. They helped out a little bit, but not enough. In terms of resources lost, we currently have the Zerg player in a pretty decent position. Even though he lost more, that's one of the things that you have to do as a Zerg player. The Phoenix is still going strong in the main base. They got a lot of kills in this game already, but the 4th is down, and that kind of puts a clock on Shine. He needs to do some damage here, and also make sure that his opponent doesn't get a 4th on his own. Shine is down in this game. This is a best of 3. We currently have the Protoss player in a 1-0 lead, and now we have 3 additional Colossi, and that's a pretty sick army that we have there. Shine still with a better army supply, but the composition works in favor of MadBull at this point. More and more Vipers are currently joining the battle, and he needs more. He needs a lot more Vipers. He doesn't have a single one right now, and he needs something. Abduct against those Colossi is so important for him. But we have also the Templar Archive now coming in, and with the Templar Archive alone, he has the opportunity to get High Templars in, go for the feedback, another cancel at the base to the bottom left of the map, and once more, MadBull is just everywhere. That Warp Prism is such a bitch to deal with. He's everywhere with this, dropping once again, going straight here for the Zealots. Warp Prism taken out, so he loses a little bit of the potential for aggression that he has, but at the same time, doesn't really matter too much to him. He's nearing 200 supply on his own. He has a pretty good composition with High Templars for the feedback against the Vipers. We have the 3 Colossi here at the front. We see the Immortals. Pretty good composition for him, and in terms of the upgrade, he's going up to the +3. Never got that second forge though, so we are currently seeing him in a position where he's getting at the 4th base, but he doesn't have the second forge to go for additional upgrades. But Charge is about to be completed as well, and Shine, of course, a little bit desperate to get his 4th out. I mean, he is behind the bases in a couple of seconds. The Blinding Clouds are beautiful though. He's really using those wells, and here come those Yanks. Where are those High Templars? Finally the feedback, but that was definitely a good position for Shine here, and MadBull with the unit control on the High Templars a little bit off, is trying to get close again once more, but all those Blinding Clouds and the Yanks really did a number on the Protoss player. The problem for Shine though is that he doesn't have this massive economy that usually a Zerg has. Yes, he's high in minerals, but he's lacking gas, and he needs those additional gases. He needs gas number 7, he needs gas number 8, he needs to get that out, and now he's losing another base. MadBull even going up against these these Vipers that we had in the last battle with the Abducts, with the Blinding Clouds, is currently in a good spot. He's losing another Colossus, but does it really matter? Look at the numbers here. He's just blinking forward, and the Protoss player with an 80 army supply is now going to town. Shine is losing units left, right, bottom, and center. He's losing everything here. He's already 0-1 in the best of 3, and he might well lose this game too, and then be out of the qualifier, whereas MadBull advances to the second round. The Protoss player is doing a great job here. People were always saying that he has a leg up, but in this game, it's definitely the case. The guy is currently just hunting down single units, and he doesn't even engage, and the reason for that is simple. He knows fully well that there is no fourth base for his opponent. He's a base up as a Protoss player. As a Zerg, that's kind of disgusting to look at. You look at this game, you're like, oh my god, what happened here? And MadBull knows everything. He has full scouting information. He's still doing a little bit of damage with War Prisms in the main base, which can be kind of neglected here. Just trying to keep his opponent to the bottom right, keep him constricted, and MadBull himself with a 4-base economy is fully aware that all that he has to do is max out once more and press that A button, click with a left click to the bottom right, and then the game will be his. He's not even going for additional Colossi anymore at this point. He's just completely restricting it to Blink Stalkers, 2 Archons. We have one of them in the game, and also, of course, those Immortals that he's building. Moving in once more, MadBull is trying to clench out the victory. The War Prism is far gone, but the Mothership Core with a Time Warp is doing a pretty decent job. We have at the same time the rest of the units just hunting down what's there to hunt down. Another base cancel here for Shine. At the bottom left, the Overlord's hiding, but I mean, all of them are just flying there like rats leaving a sinking ship. But can they really do anything here? I seriously doubt it. Shine needs an incredible miracle if he really wants to win this game. Storm is going to be part of the equation as well in just a few minutes here. And the Protoss player in just way too good of the position. Overlord spreading everywhere, but this game by rights should be over. Shine, is he going for some miraculous comeback, or will MadBull clench out a victory in game number 2 here at the WCS Korea Qualifier on Whirlwind and take this game? Looks really a little bit safe, but here comes this armor once again the blink forward and forcing the engagement, and Shine, he just doesn't have a chance here. There's 116 army supply against 90, and Shine is losing unit after unit. He is trying to set this base up. He is trying to get this base, and MadBull is just like, well, do I hunt down that army? He's like, why would I? I just go on that 4th once again, take it out. Even a partial recall here, making sure that this army composition, this small task force here, is not taking down his 4th base. Really great play by MadBull. The recall was very, very smart, and he immediately moves out to make sure that he gets both army sizes together. He's flanking his opponent right now. Shine knows that he's out of luck. He is 70 supply down. Here come the Storms, and GG as MadBull wins game number 2 and advances to the next round of the WCS Korea Qualifier.